You ever have one of those moments? You're not doing anything particularly special, but you get this deep sense of meaning, like a real satisfaction that just pops up out of nowhere. Well, today we're going to dig into that feeling. Where does it come from? And more importantly, how can we get more of it?
I mean, really think about it. It's not always the huge wins, right? The big promotion, the fancy vacation. A lot of the time, it's the small stuff that makes you feel really alive. So, what's the deal with that? What is that secret ingredient?
That feeling, it's what you'd call enigmatic. Basically, it's mysterious, it's kind of hard to put your finger on. But that's the thing, isn't it? Even though it's a puzzle, we all know exactly what it is when we feel it. And that's what makes it so cool to explore.
All right, so to start cracking this code, we're going to look somewhere, well, a little unexpected. A video game. And not just any video game. We're talking about classic Tetris. I know, sounds a bit weird, but trust me, Tetris holds a major clue to understanding this whole satisfaction thing. So let's dive into what we're going to call the Tetris feeling. It's all about finding that awesome satisfaction that comes from putting in some simple, focused effort.
Come on, if you've ever played Tetris, you know this feeling. You're strategically stacking the blocks, you're leaving that one perfect column open, just waiting for that long, skinny piece. And when it finally drops in and you clear 4 lines at once, it's just pure, simple satisfaction. That feeling comes directly from your effort. You did that. Your actions had a clear, immediate effect right there on the screen.
Okay, so this whole Tetris idea, it actually points to something much bigger. A fundamental conflict, really. The one between effort and, well, emptiness. It gets right to the core of what it means to feel alive.
So look at this. On one side, you have feeling alive. This is active stuff. It's putting in the work, making something happen, literally moving something, whether it's a block in a game or pushing a project forward. But on the other side, that's where emptiness lives. It's just sitting around, maybe collecting stuff you didn't really earn, always taking the safest, easiest route. And here's the kicker. A life that's super easy isn't necessarily a life that feels fulfilling. There's a huge difference.
Which brings up a really interesting question, doesn't it? Is being lucky the same as being alive? I mean, we all want to be lucky, to have good things just happen to us. But is getting everything you want for free the same as that deep feeling of being alive? The thinking here suggests probably not. And this leads us to a big idea, one that might sound a little backwards at first, the value of friction. Yeah, friction. It turns out the very things we spend our lives trying to avoid, hardships, challenges, they might actually be the things we need the most.
Here it is in a nutshell. It requires friction and overcoming hardship to feel alive. Think about it like this. You can't build muscle without resistance, right? You need to lift something heavy. What's the same for building that sense of aliveness? It's in the struggle and pushing through something tough that we show ourselves what we're made of. We prove that our actions actually matter. A life with no friction, no resistance, well, it might just be a life with less of that feeling we're all chasing.
And here's why this is so important. If we're always just looking for the easy way out, we end up depending on other people for our sense of worth. We're looking for their approval, their applause. But let's be real, that's a roller coaster you can't control. The real power, the real stability, comes when you stop looking out there for validation and start deciding for yourself what's actually valuable.
Okay, so this all boils down to a really useful way of thinking about things. A simple framework, really. And it's all about the difference between 2 types of value, intrinsic and extrinsic.
Let's start with intrinsic value. This is the good stuff. Think of it as your own personal internal compass. It's the worth that you assign to something. It's the joy you get from the process, the satisfaction from the effort itself. It has nothing to do with getting a reward at the end. It is the Tetris feeling we were talking about.
And then, on the flip side, you've got extrinsic value. This is all this stuff that comes from the outside world. We're talking money, promotions, fame, even likes on a social media post. It's what society tells us we should want, and it's usually what we're all competing with each other for. To go back to our game, it's the high score, not that awesome feeling of just playing it well.
So let's put these 2 side by side. It makes it super clear. First, the source. Intrinsic value comes from you, from within. Extrinsic comes from others. Next, control. You get to define your own intrinsic value, but with extrinsic, the world defines that for you. And this next one is a game changer, availability. Intrinsic value is limitless. You can create it whenever you want. Extrinsic value, though, is finite. There's only so much to go around, which makes it competitive, and that leads to dependability. Intrinsic value is always there for you. You can always tap into it. Extrinsic, totally unpredictable. It can be gone in a flash.
Okay, so this is all great, but how do we actually get more of this intrinsic value in our lives? You know, the stable, dependable kind. Well, the answer starts with something really simple. It's just a little shift in your mindset. It all begins with curiosity.
And this quote just nails it. Curiosity is the doorway. Wonder is what convinces you to walk through. Think about that. Curiosity is just the beginning. It's that little spark, that little voice in your head that goes, I wonder what that's all about.
But just getting intrigued, that's only step one. Wonder is what comes next. Wonder is when you actually decide to step into that mystery, to explore something without knowing how it's going to turn out. It's about being willing to just engage, to put in a little effort, simply to see what happens. That right there is the heart of creating your own intrinsic value.
So, at the end of the day, finding meaning in life isn't like some treasure hunt where you find the X on the map and you're done. No way. It's a process, one that's always ongoing. It's about choosing to stay curious, letting yourself feel wonder, and most importantly, deciding for yourself what's valuable. It's like you're playing your own personal game of Tetris, just focusing on placing each piece one at a time.
So I'll just leave you with this. This doesn't have to be some huge, life-changing thing. It can be tiny. So what's one small, curious step you can take today? What's one little thing that sparked your interest that you can decide to explore a little, just for the fun of it, just for the journey?